Right.
And so even, from that sense, it sounds like she's not really all that interested even in the friend level.
Yeah.
But I think it becomes it's definitely a challenge because she doesn't want to come off as being a bitch.
Right. That's kind of the golden thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the stigma that women are stuck with, where it's like you have to go along with it. Otherwise, if you say no, then you get labeled with that.
Right.
And it's tough, but I don't think this is it's not an either or, right? It's not a black and white where it's just I think there's a way to do this and be respectful.
There is, but here's part of what I think is interesting when you look at the psychology of this dynamic. It starts with he asks her, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And she answers honestly, "No, I haven't had one for 3 years." And as a man, I know what that sounds like. It sounds like game on. Like, oh, you're letting me know you're available.
Yeah.
And that's not what they're saying.
Right.
They are just answering a question with a fact. Like, if you said, "Have you eaten lunch today?" "No, I haven't eaten since yesterday." The other person takes that as, okay, so we can talk about us having lunch together, right? Because you're hungry. Right. And that's not what they said.
Yeah.
They just stated the last time they ate. There could be more to that story. Like, no, I'm fasting, or it's Ramadan, or,
I'm
no,
just not hungry.
I don't eat. Yeah, or whatever. And so, that's the dynamic that's so interesting is that I know a lot of women who will put on a fake wedding ring. I know a lot of female therapists that will do that are single. Or they are just dating. But they will put a ring on that finger just to make it less accessible, like to make people kind of get a signal early that they're just not available. And It's weird, Nick, because it's like the feminist in me has a problem with women having to say that. Sure. Like, the easy way out is that when a guy like this approaches you, just tell him, "Oh, yeah, I have a boyfriend." If he asks and you're not interested, lead with that. But it's a lie, and you don't feel comfortable saying that because you may be like, "Oh, what's your boyfriend do?" And now we're talking about a make-believe person,
right?
They don't want to go that far.
You shouldn't have to be dishonest to send a message. I mean,
right? There needs to be a way to say, if you say, "Oh, what's your name? Blah blah blah. Nice to meet you." "Oh, are you dating anybody? Do you have anybody in your life?" "Oh no, I've been single for a couple of years." And to be able to add something to that, "and I'm unavailable," or something, or but it's so rude, right? Because they're like, "And I'm not interested," or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, thanks." And I don't know what that dynamic is, but you've been single more recently than me. What is the etiquette on this? What advice would you have for somebody? How do people reject you, Nick? Until you scammed Laura into this thing.
Time for this?
What are some of the nice ways that people have let you know?
Usually it's just ghosting.
It's ghosting, yeah.
Just stop.
Usually the restraining order, it helps, whenever the guy knocks on the door and the police officer hands you that document and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Here's okay, I can give you feedback. I can give our listener some feedback from the guy's perspective. Having gone through this, the nicest, easiest way to accept this is to just for the woman to just say, "Hey, look, I'm not really interested in a relationship." Yeah,
right. And leave it right there.
And boom, then it's done. And it's that is the softest, gentlest way I've ever been let down.
Right.
And it was like, oh, okay. And it's you just have to accept that.
Yes.
And you just kind of move on. And I think most guys will appreciate the honesty.
I agree.
And just I think that's the thing that upset me back in the single game was being led around knowing that there wasn't actually anything that was ever going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we've been, texting back and forth now for, 3 weeks, a month now. I've asked you out on dates and
you never say no directly.
Yes.
You say
yes,
and
then something comes up. And then just be direct. Be honest, be direct. It's the best way to do it.
I'll tell you this, to the writer. 3 things that I would say I don't want to see you do, right? 3 mistakes I think you could make. 1, there is the, being a jerk, really overly aggressive, direct no. And I've seen some women do this because they're tired of people continuing to nudge the door when the door is clearly shut. And so they slam it with a loud noise and, sometimes they will be kind of devastating or mean or, take a shot at the person. I don't recommend that because, obviously, Ryder, that doesn't seem like that's who you are, and I don't think that's your inclination. But to other listeners who might think, you know what, men don't get the point unless you're just a jerk to them, I disagree. I think that you're describing a type of human who's pretty dense.
Right.
But
yeah.
not all humans are like that, and I don't think being unkind is the right way to reject. I think it leaves people hurting, and then that's how you create resentment. I don't think that's the right way to go. But the second error that I think you can make is being too passive, where you're not saying no and you're constantly just kind of going with the conversation. Because women being platonic and friendly is the equivalent of men being flirty. Like, Nick and I have been friends for years. You wouldn't know it. There's not a lot of hand holding, or like, we don't hug when we see each other. I think we've hugged exactly twice. Entire
uncomfortable both times.
Yeah, but for women, their version of friendship is usually pretty warm and like pretty affectionate, and there's hugs hello, and there's all these things, and it's very normal to just text and say, hey, you know, how are you doing today? And, you know, I was thinking about you today. I hope everything's going great. That's just not typical male affection and friendship. So whenever a man is friends with a girl, if he's not used to that, if he doesn't know naturally how to have friends with girls, I think if a woman just continues to try to be platonic, he may misunderstand that and think, oh, this is warmth, this is affection, this is the lead into a relationship, I'm on deck, this is possible. So I think that that's another error she could make, is continuing to try to just be affectionate without being direct. And being platonic, because I think men naturally misinterpret that, because it's warmer and more affectionate than their natural friendship level. And then the third mistake I think you could make is something that Nick just alluded to. And I'm not accusing you this, Ryder, but I've seen people do it. I've seen some women that enjoy the attention. And they enjoy being flirted with, and he's an attractive guy, I'm not into him, but I like having a friend at the gym, and I like having somebody that kind of pursues me, and I like the compliments, and I like, I post pictures to my Instagram, and he likes it, and he comments and says, oh my gosh, you really are stunning, and it's not too over the top, and I like it. You know, I just like the attention. I haven't had a boyfriend for 3 years, it's nice to have somebody. Ugh, I think you're flirting with danger. And not that it's danger physically, but it's not right.
And
don't
honestly,
do that.
I think everybody enjoys that.
Yeah, we all do. But if you know the person actively is pursuing you,
right.
You're not a dummy, and you're picking up on the signals. I think you have a responsibility to be direct, like you had said, and kind of close that door. You know, not loudly, but decisively. The dude will probably pick up on it. But
right.
if you're dragging him along, and then you just, in the back of your mind, are thinking, it's fine, I haven't really crossed the line, so I have deniability here, nobody can accuse me of leading him on, you're being dishonest to yourself. Like, you have the ability to detect your subtle no's. Make those less subtle, because I think you kind of owe that to whatever friendship is possible. And friendship is possible, but I think friendship is not available until a guy has a clear and decisive no. Then he can switch gears and think, okay, this is a friendship, you are my friend, this is not an option. And that's actually good for the friendship, and you will see what he can be like as a friend, which may be a really different version of him that you actually really come to enjoy.
And, I mean, the whole thing here is all about, she's asking, how do I let him down gently? How do I be respectful and do so in a way that, I think at the end of the day, what this boils down to is, how do I do this in a way where he won't be mad at me for doing this?
Where we can keep the rapport.
Right. Continue to keep some kind of, we can either part on good terms,
right,
or we can stay friends, but with, certain boundaries. And I think the big fear for a lot of women, and here we are again, it's like 5 weeks in a row, two guys talking about
Manu, please write back in.
Where I think one of the issues I think that a lot of women have is just kind of this fear of, if I say this, I don't want things to get ugly.
Yeah.
And here's my thought behind that, is that if he's an ugly person,
right,
it's going to get ugly regardless of how you do it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think if you can do this in the nicest, softest, most direct approach, and most guys, I would say most guys are good people.
Right.
Most guys are going to respect that. If he doesn't, it's not your approach. Mm-hmm. I think that's just probably how he is.
I agree. I think that's fair. And I think just practicing saying that out loud the next time you're getting coffee, you can also present it as it's not just him. You can say, hey, let's say the guy's name is Michael. Hey, Mike, I just wanted to share with you something that's coming on my mind. I have lots of guy friends, and, I know that can sometimes be blurry because I enjoy you, I like you, but I'm not available for a relationship. And I usually let all my guy friends know that. And again, it's just something that's about me right now and my choices. But I hope that we can still be good friends. I really enjoy you. Mm-hmm. That right there, like as a guy, I would totally receive that. I would, okay, great. Got it. Thank you for letting me know. And I'd appreciate knowing that sooner rather than later before I start doing dumb things.
Yes.
If I start showing up, unexpectedly with coffee at your job or with flowers, I'm trying. Like,
right.
Then it's going to be embarrassing if you have to say that to me a month down the road.
It saves the guy humiliation.
Yeah, and he would rather pivot to the friend mode anyway. And, but also you need to respect his truth because he may not be available for a friendship. He may be able to think about that and go, okay, do I just want to be friends with this person? Is that something that's valuable to me? And his answer may be no. Right now I'm trying to pursue a girlfriend, and that means I don't want close relationship with girl friends, just friends, platonic, because that may be problematic for the girl that I'm dating. And so I'm not available for a friendship. That's fine, but, you owe him that right to say that.
Right. And I mean, he could just as easily say that he's not prepared for the friendship just because as the guy, you have to understand if we're friends, that means I'm going to see you date other guys.
Yeah. That
and
could
for
be
a lot
problem.
and that could be a problem. And if he's not prepared for that, then it's probably best to just go separate ways.
I think honesty is the best policy.
Yep.
And, and here's the thing though, for women who are kind of cringing as we're talking about this, I want to be clear. I do not put all the responsibility on women. I really don't. I do believe, but I also, as a man, I don't see any negative behavior. I see innocent pursuit right now that until he's had a delivered and clear message of no, he has no data to know that this isn't right. And or that she doesn't, share or respond to this. If he makes a joke or calls her pretty or something and she chuckles and giggles, and that's her trying to demur and make it, I don't receive this, I'm not celebrating this, I'm not asking for more, how can he know that difference? He doesn't know your personality yet. So I think that, by sending that clear signal, you make it an honest conversation, you let the other person have the responsibility of decision and choice, and that's really what's lacking right now. But, my friend, don't be scared. Don't be scared to come right out with it. Again, rehearse how you want to say it. Make it sound like you've told this to lots of guys who are friends, and, explain what you're available for. And I like that phrase. I'm available for friendship right now, but I'm not available romantically. I just want to make sure that's something that we both agree to.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, what do you do with a flirty fiance? You're listening to Pod Therapy. Hey, TheraPals, have you purchased your tickets to ScoopFest 2018 yet?
2018!
Our friends Matt, Paul, and Jacob are working hard to put together Ice Cream Social's third annual weekend-long comedy and podcast festival in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, coming up on October 12th through the 14th. Enjoy live comedy, variety shows, the Scoop Talent Show, the Jock vs. Nerd Costume Ball, and much, much more, including live recordings of some of your favorite podcasts, such as Pod Therapy, and the rest.
And all those other has-beens. And all the podcasts who don't matter anymore.
So not true. All right, and several other podcasts. Our listeners get $40 off their ticket price. So go to heyscoops.com/therapy to get your discount.
What was that website again, Nick?
heyscoops.com/therapy.
We're back. You're listening to Pod Therapy. Our next listener writes in asking what to do about her flirty and suspiciously acting fiancé. My fiancé is flirty, hypersexual, and might be sex addicted. What do I do? I recently found out that my fiancé has been emotionally cheating for almost the entirety of our relationship. What I mean is he has been downloading Tinder-type apps and getting into conversations with girls. Then he starts sexting them. He has a history of parental neglect and multiple years of sibling molestation, which are direct factors to growing up to be a sex addict. He has a poor self-image and craves attention and validation, and I guess he finds that when he's sexting strangers from the internet, he is affirmed. Now, I have also found posts of a prostitute website where he was seeking escorts, but he says it was just a power trip. He would pull up to the meeting place and masturbate because he fooled a dumb, desperate hooker. Google searches for "can you have signs of an STD less than 24 hours after oral" make me question if that is true, but I've decided to look past it in hopes of true recovery and repair of himself and our relationship. He is also addicted